Hello and welcome to another studio vlog. In this one, I am putting together notepads that feature my cats and books designs. This is my second time ever making notepads, so I'm by no means an expert, but I have learned quite a few lessons from the first try, and I've also learned some lessons this time, and I will talk about them more during the video itself. I also pack up an order that I've received towards the end of the video. I hope you enjoy watching. Okay, just saw me counting all the pages, but these are the notepads that I'll be putting together. These ones, obviously this page is printed, but I can still use these ones. And then these ones. I'll mention it again later in the video and talk about it a bit more, but because I printed these sheets with the plain printer setting, I wasn't able to print them borderless, so I have to cut off the extra bits around all four sides. And I figured it would make the most sense and to be most efficient if I cut all the same sides of all the three different stacks of pages. So I cut off the top section first. And I used one of the messed up pages as my cut test page, but I didn't film that step because it was very tedious and repetitive, and I really didn't think anyone would want to watch me struggle for so long to find the correct cut line. But yeah, once I figured out where the cuts should be made, I set the machine up accordingly and cut the three stacks separately. I know that from a capacity standpoint, I could combine all the three stacks into one and cut them in one go, but because this is only my second time using the machine, I really didn't trust myself to not mess them all up, so I decided to cut them separately, which takes a bit more time, but because I have the arm or whatever you call that thing on the left side set up properly, aligning the stacks of paper really isn't that time consuming after the first, figuring out where it's supposed to be. But with my next batch of notepads though, I want to try cut more pages in one go, so all at the same time, and see how I like that and how that turns out. I basically did the same exact steps for all the different sides to cut off.
Still dancing in the air, still feel your hands run through my hair. I try and occupy my mind, but I can't hide. It's too soon and it's too fast. I try to fight it, hoping that it wouldn't last. Build a world and build it fast. I can't deny it, expectations you surpassed. Need some time to think it through without you, but you're sublime. I just can't escape. Gonna get myself inside. I'm gonna close all of my blinds. I'll read or write and work and hope you'll finally leave my mind. But you're still dancing in the air, still feel your hands run through my hair. I try and occupy my mind, but I can't hide. 'Cause you're everywhere, everywhere, you're everywhere. No, everywhere, everywhere. Myself inside, I'm gonna close all of my blinds. I'll read or write and work and hope you'll finally leave my mind. But you're still dancing in the air, still feel your hands through my hair. Try and occupy my mind, but I can't hide. You're everywhere, everywhere, you're everywhere. No, everywhere, everywhere, you're everywhere.
I did make a mistake when cutting the pages down the middle. Now, I don't know why I didn't just do exactly that and cut it down the middle, like measure the middle and cut it down. I think my brain was sleeping at the time and I didn't think of doing that. My test cut was with a design where the mistake wasn't as obvious because the designs were not square, so you couldn't really tell that well that it was off center. And when I noticed it, I overcorrected it in the wrong direction. So I made it worse. But oh well, you live and you learn. Now that all the notepad pages are cut, we can assemble them. I'm adding a thick cardboard backing card in between each notepad design, and I'm trying to make them align as best as possible to the top of the notepad where the glue will go, and have it somewhat aligned on one of the sides. Now, because I messed up the cutting section, there's really no way I was going to be able to align them like on both sides, which is why I tried to a certain point to align them on one of the sides. I also thought that I could put all 6 notepads together in one big pile, but I noticed that my claws or clamps that I have aren't big enough for that, so I separated them into 2 separate stacks. I also added an extra piece of cardboard to the top of each of the stacks just to make the whole thing sturdier and a bit more secure. I then took an old brush and some Elmer's Glue All Glue and added thin coats of it to the top of the notepads. So that's something I learned for my first time making notepads, that having multiple thin layers of glue looks better and comes out nicer than applying 1 or 2 thick coats. So I'm applying 2 thin coats here and then I put them aside for drying. This is later in the day. Once the first 2 thin coats are dry, I'm adding 2 to 3 more thin coats. And I'm moving the claws aside for easier application, and then I move them back once I'm done. And having the claws/clamps facing this way during the drying times just makes the paper not warp as much, I find, because applying glue sort of wets the paper and wet paper curls. So just having the clamps down that way, I feel stops that from happening.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I keep chasing. I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful cause they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job, don't slack off. Wake up every morning, make a good impression on your boss. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and when you're making money, make sure you don't spend it too soon. Fuck that, I'll do what I wanna do. I got a different path from everyone, and that includes you. Who are you to tell me how to live life? In these times it feels like nobody is right, yeah. So I'ma figure out what else we succeed, and then invest all of my time into that and proceed. I need whatever the...
A few days later, I'm now cutting all the notepads apart. I remove the clamps and the extra cardboard pieces first, and then carefully cut the designs away from each other. This is the main reasons why I add any extra pieces of paper or like notepad pages that I have to the top, even though I know I'm not gonna want to sell them like that, because it helps to have those in front of like the actual pages, because if I'm not careful at this step, I can cut through them or I can rip them off, and it can look messy. So I really suggest adding a few extra pages at the front, even if they're not actual notepad pages and just random, leftover paper that you have laying around somewhere. I really think that having that, at least for me, it just gives me a peace of mind. And then, having that page there that I'm okay with removing makes me less anxious to cut them apart. And once they're all apart, it's just about cutting off the excess from all the sides for each notepad. And that's what I'm doing here.
Make me happy, and I don't think you have a clue what could that be. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I keep chasing. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I keep chasing. I think this life could be special if I get rid of the devils. They think that I am a rebel, I think they want me to settle. There's nobody on my level. They think that work is too stressful, I think that work is essential. The grind is all in your mental, and I don't think you understand what I'll go through just to be in control of my life soon. All the negativity, man, I'm immune. I don't really need a mask with all I've been through. I've been making changes for the ages. 5-10 year plans are contagious. I attack that shit, I'm tenacious. And if you ain't, get fuck out of my way then. Got one life, I won't regret it. I will fight until I get it. I'll look back one day from heaven and say, damn, I learned some lessons. And say, damn, I have no questions. I had fun in every second, and the journey was a blessing, yeah. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I keep chasing. They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that can make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I keep chasing.
So here are the finished notepads. And what I'm going to do is, because I on purpose left the ones that are not good on here in case if there are any dents or anything during the cutting process. So we can go ahead and rip them off now. Ta-da! Oh, there's one more. There. Now it's looking good. So they're not perfect. They are all 4 by 5-ish. I printed these out on the plain paper setting. So before I figured out my print setting for matte paper that I talked about in my last video. So, and because of that, I wasn't able to print these ones borderless, because you can't, or at least with my printer, I can print borderless on my plain paper setting, which is why these ones, and the last ones that I've done, the floral ones, why they're this size, and why I had to actually cut all the sides. But going forward, because I now know how to print borderless, I'll be able to make these a bit bigger and with less cutting, which makes me hopeful that they'll be better aligned, because you can see here, just with how I cut them, there's not as much space here as there is here. And I don't like that. I know it's not the end of the world, because like the actual feel to write stuff down is still there. And they look all pretty good. None of the actual design is cut off. That's really important to me. And yeah, that the actual space to write is fine. But what I would like to do is, I'm gonna sell these for cheaper, again, just because they're not perfect. I don't think they're ever going to be perfect because they're handmade, but they're not too, like, they're not the best, and I know that, I'm aware of that. So this is another one where you can see fairly well that I've did not cut them off. This one, for example, this one is fairly good, and then others you don't see it as well because the design isn't very strict in squares where you can see it very obviously. So yeah, so these are going to be cheaper than the one they're going to be in the future once I've perfected them to my best abilities. But yeah, so because they were printed the way they were, I obviously had to cut off all the sides, but going forward, if I print them out borderless, I'll only need to do one cut each way and then they're done. So I'm hoping they're also going to be more precise and obviously bigger, because I don't need to throw anything away. They're not going to be that much bigger because I'm using up pretty much most of the page, but yeah. Anyway, let's cut off the rest of the top. So this one you can see here has a little bit of not so nice stuff, and this one looks good. This one here, there's a smudge here, and I think on the next one as well, yeah, smaller one here. So I'm just gonna take these off and testing the tearability, and I think it's going pretty well. I'll use these ones myself for just around the house. Not sure if there's anything wrong with this one, so I might leave that as is. Oops. Same with this one. This one obviously didn't finish printing. Then this one looks good. And there's nothing technically wrong with this except that it's very crooked, so I think I'll take this off as well. Nice. All right, perfect. I really like how with the machine that I have, I can get a very nice cut. Like some of them are not as well, and again, that's just the sizing problem that I have, but some really look very professional and I like that. But yeah, I'm very happy with how these turned out. I'm also looking forward to redoing them once I get the chance. Right now I actually need to order more ink because it takes a lot of ink to print all of these. Even though I have an Epson Eco Tank, it takes quite a bit of ink to print all of these. So I need to buy more before I can print more. But yeah, the plan is that as soon as I have time, I will make these again, but in the normal size that they're hopefully going to be in the future. All right, let's pack up an order I've received. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.